Hello guys, welcome to my channel. It's me, Anastasia. Really happy to make video again, finally. A live talk video, just you and me, about the styles. So we will talk about the Kibbe body types. For me, it was life-changing experience, and it changed my perception on how I style my clothing, what clothing to select. And of course, it's not about the colors. Colors is different thing, but it's more about the fit, the shape, the textures. Is basically will help you in the perspective to select clothing and to look more balanced. Of course, if you like styling, if you like fashion, if you like to dress up, if you don't like, please watch other videos, but maybe you can also watch it just for the interest, I don't know, just to relax and chill and watch a video about the Kibbe body styles, which is really exciting. And now when I'm watching TV shows and I'm just looking around on my friends also, I can understand more or less also their body type, but sometimes it's not really that contrast, you cannot really tell, and that's why you need to go through the test. I will share the website where I have done personally the test, and there are really nice advices, and it's really amazing website. Really highly recommend. It's not sponsored, of course, I'm a really small channel now. What is Kibbe body styles? So there are 5 major body styles. It's dramatic, natural, classic, gamine, and romantic. We have all masculine and feminine energy in our bodies. Also, these 5 styles can be categorized also, they are linked more to feminine or to masculine energy. So feminine is yin and masculine is yang. So the one that will be on the left side, like dramatic and natural, they will lean more forward to the masculine side, and gamine and romantic will lean more to the yin side, to the more romantic feminine side. Of course, we are all women, we all are feminine, but the first femininity, in my opinion, is how we react, how we talk, how we make decisions in our lives, but it's not how we look. We can look more masculine, even though we have like a breast and all the attributes that females has. We can be more masculine. I'm talking this from my experience because I'm a more young body type, so I am dramatic. Spoiler. Let's talk about each of them, and of course you cannot really tell just looking at the pictures. If you can, it's amazing. I applaud, because for me it took a lot of time, and I think multiple times that I went through this test to understand who I am. Sometimes it can be mixed, of course, so it's also fine to combine both in some way, but in general, dramatic and natural are more vertical, more taller, and yes, it's only about women. I don't know the style men because I'm a woman. Let's go through every of the styles and talk about them a little bit more detail, but not too much detail, because I don't think you really need to know that information about each body type, because you first and foremost you need to understand what is your body type and then to move along. So first is dramatic. It's myself. Hello, it's me. So they are tall, they have really vertical shapes because they are tall. They have more sharp features, facial features, body features. Usually they have really straight line of the shoulders. They can be also like the sleep triangle and also the pear, like different body type. In general, the whole silhouette is more vertical and slim. And natural, they are more muscular, they have more muscles, and they are also quite tall. They, by the name, you can tell that they look really good in natural fabric, something floating, and natural colors, natural hairstyle. And classic is really universal. You look good in the more geometrical, more slim shapes, and you also look good in feminine. The best of the both worlds. So it's a perfect balance between yin and yang. And next is really interesting. Gamine is women who always look like they are teenagers. Doesn't matter how old they are, so they can be like 50 and look like they are 15, just because their body is quite petite and their also height is petite. Yes, and actually about the height, you can see on the image that the young one is taller, and we go into to the skin, and they are smaller by the height, so it also can help you to differentiate the style. And also the romantic one, it's soft and round and very curvy shaped women, and they are really feminine by their body shape. Usually they are hourglass figures, and they look good in ruffles and in lace with the curls and like very pastel colors, maybe something soft and feminine. I mean, elegant can be every of them. So, of course, there are also some celebrities examples, but it's really hard to understand when you look at the celebrities because you don't know. Because the stylists work really well with them, and sometimes dramatic women can look like a classic or like really romantic by how they style it, and sometimes it's really mixed, so you cannot tell. But let's move on to the test and go through the test again. I will also do it after many years. I'm so excited, and yeah, let's go through it. So let's talk about the styles and let's go through this test. So this is a wonderful Cindy Crawford, and guess what style it is? Dramatic. So this is how your answers should look like. Let's go to it. So answers A and B are more young, like more masculine energy or body shapes, and D, E are more in dominant. But for you, you will understand it in the end. So bone structure. How long is your vertical line? This is really interesting question. Of course, we can see the Angelina Jolie and Katy Perry. You just need to look at your pictures and to understand, are you really appear much taller than you usually are, or you not? But for me, this is a little bit different, depends on what I'm wearing. And sometimes when my legs are open, I look much taller. Sometimes because I'm not really skinny, I look less taller. It's really depends. So for me, it's not really a criteria. So that's why I had a really problem defining who I am. And you can look and decide what is more about you. There are no measurements, so it's just a feel. So let me say that it will be long. So I'm writing down that I'm a long, so I look like longer than I am, which is I'm 6'1", I think, 186 centimeters. I'm very tall. And then we move to the next question. So your shoulders, what shape are they? So they might be not even broad, but they might be really straight, looking like here at the A picture. You can see that the shape is very rectangle-ish. Then we move on. It's kind of still this shape, but it's still more softer. You see more, less horizontal, I would say, and quite muscular as well. Actually, I would say, and this is interesting because I thought I have a broad shoulders, but I'm not really having a broad shoulders. They are proportional. I just don't have a really wide hips or proportional hips. So for me, yeah, I would say it's not narrow, but they are sharp. I don't know. For me, let's do A again. So then we have slope tapered. You see how they go a little bit to the bottom, so they are more softer. And then we have more rounded and symmetrical, even. So they are just normal shoulders. It's really a little bit complicated, but I think you know your shoulders and you know how they look like. Also here, I would say they are having more, this bone has more prominence, you see, in every of these types, and here they are more straight lined. It's also very interesting, but it also depends how much you're muscular. So if you're doing sports, and of course you will have more like this kind of shape, but yeah, it all depends. Next, how long are your arms and legs and what shape are they? So my arms are really long because we are talking about the bone structure. You can tell that some has really broader and more massive bones, and some have a more narrower bone structure, so really elongated. So I'm definitely A. Of course, you can be a little bit overweight and then you will not really see, but usually if you're a dramatic body type and you're really tall, so first of all, fat distributes in your body kind of proportionally, and it's almost always is in your middle part of the body, so your arms and your legs will always look elongated and always will look narrow. So here we see a little bit more also muscles and more square-ish shape. Here we see more neutral proportions, so it's really very balanced. Look at this one, how feminine they are and how curvy are the shapes, and their their arms and their legs looks more curvy and more like tender, but you know what I mean. Then we have really curvy. Of course, you can also see here the descriptions that will help you, because it also depends on how short your arms and your legs are. Here you can see that they have quite short arms and legs as well, so it also depends where they come here. So mine will come like right here, but my legs are also way taller. Like here you see I have more or less, oh, like her, I have more or less this kind of proportions. So yeah, you can just read more about this. I'm just telling this very generic advices. Okay, so this is interesting because we are moving more to the details, but it's still bone structure. So what size and shape of your hands and feet? So I have very long and narrow feet and hands. It's really obviously that I'm 8. You can also have a little bit more large hands, but more broad ones. So they look big in comparison to the face. Then we have small and delicate, kind of narrow hands, really pretty, a little bit like a children's. Yeah, and then we have a little bit wide, or the fingers are a little bit short. And then we have just the moderate, not large, not small, just normal hands. Boring. And no, they know. Every body is a beautiful body. Every woman is beautiful. It doesn't matter what Kibbe type are you. You are beautiful by the right of birth, okay? So then we go to the overall shape of your body. I think it's more also about the proportions. So then you have long, lean, and dry body, which is not actually, it depends. You have overweight, you're not that skinny, right? But more or less we're talking about the whole image of the body, if it's really very elongated and really vertical or not. In this case, you can also see that their hips are quite narrower than their shoulders, and they don't have this exactly shaped waistline, so they are more like straight and vertical body shapes. Here we also don't see very like waist, and shoulders are a little bit more on the broader side, but they are more muscular. You see the feet more muscular, and also the chest. Here you can see the chest in these both types a little bit looking to the left and right, you know, it's not centered. So it also depends. So here is not centered, here is more centered, but usually I also my breasts are not really centered in the middle. So knowing that will really help you, for example, to select the bra or the bathing suit. Then we have here, you can see the waistline. The waist is waisting and the hourglass is hourglassing, okay? Here you can see soft and curved, and the hourglass is even more hourglassing, so it's very curvy shape. And here you can see this, as I said, a little bit like teenage girls, so they are quite slim, but you can also see the hourglass shape and not super feminine. Then we go into the bust line and upper torso. It's interesting. Yeah, you see that in natural you have more broader and wider upper torso, which I have, but I can be dramatic with this too. I would say it's a little bit different. So here I will say B, because I have the more broader one, but I can also tell. Yeah, it's really interesting that overweight, a little flesh tends to accumulate here. Yeah, I can tell that about myself. Okay, I have questions about this one, but we will move along. Here are moderate in the proportion, so this part of the body is not bigger than the hips area, so they are moderate and they are really balanced. Here more curved and prominent than the waistline. Actually, now I think I'm D. And again, very prominent is very feminine. Difference between the waistline and the bust line is really tell that this contrast you can see. Okay, then waistline. So you see here we have a little bit boyishly tapered. Here we see broad and elongated. So this is really narrow, this is a little bit wider. This one is slightly defined, not that much of a contrast. If I would say about myself, it's something between N and B actually. It's also about proportions, because if you have a shorter upper part, then fat will accumulate here because it's the shorter body part. But yeah, we answered on the question. Also, for me, it's really interesting because this hourglass, look, they have narrower ribs, so their ribs are kind of smaller than the size. Yeah, sorry. And here you can also tell the ribs are even smaller than that. For me, my ribs are broad. They are more like on the picture B. So it's actually the contrast in your upper torso and your lower torso are your hips shape. So it's actually interesting because some of them are straight like here, some of them a little bit tapered, a little bit wide slightly. For me, I will not even hesitate. You need to also think, is it like more trapezia or is it more like a square shape? So here we see more about like triangular trapezia, and here is really triangular shape, and here is even more triangular shape. And here we can say just less even triangular shape as well. Interesting, your upper arm. So it also depends. You just look at your hands and how proportionate they are, and then you select the answer. So also depends if you have a little bit fat in your body where it accumulates. For me, it accumulates in this area. So I would say it's more like D. Then let's move along. And actually, even when I'm skinny, I never had this what they show on the first picture. But again, it can be mixed, okay? We're not robots. This is really interesting. Facial features, they also can tell what type are you. So if you have really sharp features, not only jawline, but we start from jawline, then you can really select which one you are. For me, more like something in between, I would say, but mostly A. Here you see also square-ish in angular shape of the jaw. Here is a little bit wider jaw, you see? Just on this bone, look at this bone. For me, my bone is a little bit still narrower, but this one actually looks like this one, but it's okay. Here we see really small jawline. Is like really tiny. And is this Ariana Grande? Beyonce, you can see the rounded shape. Here you can see moderate, not this and not this. Here you can see a little bit square shape, but it's still kind of on the soft side. This nose, then we can say here is on the broader side, here's more pointy, narrower side, and they usually tell people they usually have long noses, which is very proportionate to their body. You can see rounded nose, and here moderate, just moderate nose. Cheekbones, high and prominent is what I have. It's interesting how here they show again nose. Okay, it's probably some mistake. So here you can see that they have a little bit of rounded cheeks. And here I go to this image. You can see they're more like in the middle. They are quite shaped, structured, but not as much as here. You can see this contrast, you see. Cheekbones. So here they are delicate, slightly rounded. Here they very rounded, really like plump and moderate. They are not really that contrast, and of course if you're skinny they can show up more, but they are not sharp. What shape are your eyes? Are they closely spaced? For me is not the point, but look at how they are. Are they rounded shape? Are they narrow? Do they have angle or not? For me, it's in the middle. They're not close, they're not wide, they just in the right place. Let's see, they are slightly rounded, and here they are very round and large. Here they are evenly spaced and moderately wide. So I would say even C. What shape are our lips? The mouth size, I would say. You see, even the shape of the lips is really interesting. So for dramatic, I think they have more softer shape of the lips, but they are quite smaller. And here they have more structured lips and broader and a little bit bigger. Here they have a little more fuller lips and more rounded. And here they have very full and rounded lips. And here we see moderate and even lips. And we look at the flesh in our cheekbones, not the bone structure, but the flesh. We see, it also depends actually on the age, but you can see the flat flesh on the cheekbones. When you smile, it's a little bit, you can see it, right? right? Here is a little bit more tight when they smile. You can see also this more contrast lines maybe. Here is more soft, don't have really contrast when they smile. And here more round. Here are so rounded but softer. What best describes your hair? It's also really interesting because usually I have been, if you have curvy hair and wavy, it's very like you're more on the feminine side. It's moderately thick, is strongly textured. It might be not even wavy or so, but they are like thick, and the C is moderate texture, D is moderately thick and with a little bit of wave, E is really very very thick and curly. Then we are moving along to the results. For me, of course, I have mostly 8 results. Here you can just look how you are. You might be soft dramatic, you might be just dramatic. Here we have natural, classic, so just look at the results. And who are you? Okay, so what I would recommend you to do is first of all to go through this test and to understand what body type you are. You can also go to other website and find other tests which will help you, which will be more exact, but I think this one is quite good. Some of the things you just like, hey, I don't see really the difference, but if you really think about it, look in the mirror, in the pictures, then you understand. Maybe not every point of this test will be clear for you, but in the end you will see the dynamics, right? I want to give you a disclaimer that I'm not stylist. I'm not anyone really professional in this point of view, but I just look from my personal experience and I like to dress up, I like styling, so this is what I will share with you. Thank you for watching the video and have a really nice part of the day. Cheers!